It's a Monday morning. You walk into your bank. The line is quiet. Too quiet. People stare at their phones like ghosts. The teller won't look you in the eye. A little sign is taped to the glass. System offline. Please be patient. Patient. While your life savings is trapped behind a screen. Now imagine this. You go home. You turn on the news. They smile. They tell you it's temporary. They tell you it's routine maintenance. They tell you the system is strong. And then the part they don't say out loud hits you like a brick. Your money isn't really your money, it's a promise, a digital IOU, a number that can be paused, capped, or restructured. You can't hold it, you can't smell it, you can't defend it. You can only hope the people running the machine keep the machine running. And while the sleeping herd debates politics, while they argue red team versus blue team, the real fight is happening somewhere else, in the metal market, right now, under your feet, like a crack spreading through a concrete foundation. COMEX delivery stress. Remember that phrase, because it's the sound of the pipes groaning, not in headlines, in mechanics, in plumbing, in the pipes. And when the pipes clog, you don't get water, you get panic, because gold and silver aren't just investments, they're lifeboats, and the Titanic, it's already taking on water. Here's the uncomfortable question, the one nobody on TV wants to ask. What happens when too many people try to get into the lifeboats, and the lifeboats aren't really there? That's what this is about. A squeeze, a delivery squeeze, a trust squeeze. And trust is the only thing holding paper together. Let me show you the trick. The one Wall Street uses, the one the government loves, the one the average retiree never sees until it's too late. COMEX is a futures exchange. Paper contracts, promises, claims. A contract is not a bar. A contract is a handshake. And handshakes break when fear shows up. The whole game depends on one fragile belief. Most people will never ask for delivery. They'll cash settle. They'll roll contracts. They'll take dollars instead of metal. So the casino keeps writing chips. More chips. More chips. On and on. But there's a problem. When enough players demand the real chips, the casino has to prove it has the gold, the silver, the bars. And this is where the words matter, because they use words like camouflage. Registered, not eligible. Registered. Eligible metal is metal sitting there that could be used, but it's not committed. It's not tagged. It's like a car in a garage that the owner refuses to sell. Registered metal is the deliverable pool, the part that can actually satisfy delivery, the part that has to show up when someone says, I want the real thing. Now imagine a grocery store. The manager tells you, we have food. But when you ask to buy it, he says, well, that food is in the back for someone else. That's eligible. Registered is what's on the shelf with a price tag. And when the shelves thin out, people don't stay calm. They don't behave. They stampede. Now here comes the part they don't want you to think about. On COMEX, the amount of paper trading can become enormous compared to deliverable supply. That's the entire paper metal structure. And paper can multiply. Metal can't. Paper is a photocopier. Metal is a quarry. So what happens when the market gets stressed? Two things. First, delivery demand rises. People stop trusting promises. They want the bar, the coin, the weight. Second, the exchange tightens screws. They raise margins. They raise costs. They raise the pain of staying in the game. Margin hikes are the casino saying, bring more chips to keep playing. Why would they do that? Because when volatility spikes, defaults become a risk. And when defaults become a risk, the whole paper pyramid wobbles. This is where retirees get hurt, not because they're foolish, because they were trained to trust. They were trained to believe the adults are in charge. But the adults are gamblers. They just wear better suits. Now let's do the math. Simple, clean, napkin math. A futures contract is a claim on a certain amount of metal. If paper claims grow faster than deliverable metal, then each ounce has more and more paper owners. 1 ounce. Multiple claimants. That's not ownership. That's a crowded lifeboat. And crowded lifeboats don't save everyone. You've seen this movie. Not in metals, in banks, in pensions, in insurance. When everyone shows up at once, the system reveals what it really is. A confidence trick. Now here's the trap retirees fall into. They think, I have a brokerage account. I own exposure. They think, my ETF tracks the price. They think, if something happens, I'll just sell. Sell to who? To someone who still believes the screen is reality. But when the herd wakes up, liquidity disappears. Spreads blow out. Trading halts appear like padlocks. And the worst part? It happens fast. Over a weekend, over a holiday, over one emergency announcement. Now here comes the most dangerous belief of all. the government will backstop it. Let's talk about that. FDIC, safety nets, guarantees, those are designed for normal times. A localized bank failure, a few dominoes. But this isn't a few dominoes. This is the whole table shaking. If you get systemic stress, debt, inflation, currency confidence, then the backstop is the same tool they always use: printing. And printing is theft by dilution. Silent, legal, deadly. When they say, "Don't worry, we'll guarantee deposits," the guarantee is often paid in weaker dollars. Dollars that buy less food, less medicine, less fuel, and you know this in your bones, because you've lived it. Groceries didn't explode because you got richer. They exploded because the currency got poorer. Now say it with me. This isn't a theory. This is math. Increase the supply of dollars, and you reduce the purchasing power of each one. And if at the same time scarce assets get pulled tighter, gold, silver, energy, land, then the gap between reality and the screen gets wider, like a rubber band. And rubber bands don't stretch forever. They snap. And here's another detail most people miss. COMEX has delivery months. That means there are moments on the calendar when the paper has to face reality. Not talk, not opinions, reality. During those windows, you'll see delivery notices, you'll see warehouse numbers, you'll see metal move from eligible to registered, or the other way around. And those moves are like footprints in snow. They tell you who's preparing and who's panicking. The insiders watch those footprints. The herd watches the price ticker. That's the difference. Now imagine this. A bank holiday is announced. They won't call it that. They'll call it an extended closure or a technical reset. But it's the same thing. Doors closed, transfers slowed, limits reduced. You're not poor. You're not bankrupt. You're just waiting for permission to use your own money. And while you wait, the people who already positioned into real assets don't beg, they don't plead, they don't refresh an app, they hold, they breathe, they live. Now we get to the part that makes this truly sinister, because delivery stress isn't just a market story, it's a control story. When the system gets unstable, the system doesn't apologize. It tightens, it changes rules, it moves the goalposts at halftime and tells you it's fair. You've seen it before. They do it with taxes, they do it with retirement rules, they do it with healthcare. They do it with interest rates, and they will do it with money itself. CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, a new wrapper around the same old idea. Total tracking, total permission, total control, programmable money, meaning money that can be turned off, money that can be limited, money that can expire, money that can be told, no, not today. Now imagine this. You go to fill up your car, the pump clicks off, not because you're broke, because you hit a monthly cap, because your account is under review, because an algorithm decided you've had enough. Imagine this. Your grandson needs help with rent. You try to send him money. The transfer is declined, not by a person, by a rule. Imagine this. You want to pull cash for an emergency. The ATM offers you a tiny daily limit, then a smaller one, then nothing. And the news calls it temporary. Temporary. Like every temporary rule that never goes away. And while the sleeping herd shrugs and adapts, the awakened few understand what's happening. It's not about safety, it's about containment. Because when people lose faith in paper promises, they run to real things: land, food, fuel, tools, and yes, gold and silver. So what does the system do? It tries to keep you inside the digital pen. It tries to make cash dirty. It tries to make metal weird. It tries to make self-reliance extreme, because a citizen who can exit is a citizen who can say no. Now let me tell you the ugly truth. When squeeze pressure builds, they don't need to confiscate tomorrow. They can do something easier. They can change settlement behavior. They can create incentives to cash settle, penalties for delivery, higher costs, more friction. They can make the lifeboat heavy, hard to launch, hard to climb into, so the herd stays on the deck. And the average person won't even understand what happened. They'll just notice something feels off. They'll notice the price doesn't match availability. They'll notice premiums explode. They'll notice shipping delays. They'll notice the dealer says, "I can't get it right now." That's when panic starts. And panic is always expensive, because the herd buys protection at the highest price. After the warning, after the damage, after the doors close. Now, here's the part I want you to picture, because images are what stick. Imagine this. It's Friday afternoon. Markets close. A strange headline hits. A major bank experiences liquidity issues. Officials say it's contained. Then Saturday comes, your phone updates, Your banking app spins, it won't load. You try again, it won't load. Sunday night, a press conference, smiling faces, carefully chosen words, and then the sentence that changes everything. For stability, we are implementing temporary measures. Temporary measures. For stability, that's how the trap shuts. And on Monday, the line at the bank is not quiet anymore. It's loud. It's angry. It's desperate. People who laughed at gold, they're suddenly asking where to buy it. People who mocked silver, they're suddenly hunting for coins like it's medicine. But the shelves are empty, and the dealer's phone goes to voicemail. That's the moment you want to avoid. So what do? You don't try to outtrade the casino. You don't try to outguess the Federal Reserve. You don't try to time the next headline. You do something simpler. You exit the trap. You convert paper promises into bearer assets, physical gold, physical silver, not because you're greedy, because you want freedom, because you want to sleep, because you don't want your retirement chained to a spreadsheet and a permission slip. Let me say it clean. Physical metal is not an investment. It's survival. It's sovereignty. It's you becoming your own central bank. When you hold a real bar, there is no login, no password reset, no weekend maintenance, no account freeze, no, we apologize for the inconvenience, no permission. That's what the system hates about it. Because metal is honest. It doesn't care who is president. It doesn't care who wins an election. It doesn't care what the news anchor says. It just is. Now here's the phrase most people never learn until after they've been burned. Counterparty risk. It means your asset depends on someone else keeping a promise. A bank must stay solvent. A broker must stay liquid. A clearinghouse must function. A government must keep its word. And in a crisis, promises get restructured. They change the terms. They extend timelines. They haircut balances. They call it orderly. Orderly. Like a man politely taking your wallet. Ask the people who lived through currency collapses. Ask the people who watched pensions get cut. Ask the people who saw temporary become permanent. Physical gold and silver remove counterparty risk because it's not someone else's liability. It's not a promise. It's a thing, a heavy thing, a real thing, a thing that doesn't need anyone's approval. Now I can already hear the pushback. But silver is volatile. But gold doesn't pay interest. But my advisor says diversify. Listen, if your diversification is 10 different paper claims inside the same paper system, that's not diversification. That's 10 seats on the same airplane. And if the engine fails, it doesn't matter which seat you're in. Here's what matters. Do you have assets outside the system? Do you have something they can't print? Do you have something that doesn't require permission? That's why COMEX delivery stress matters, because it's a giant spotlight on the difference between paper and physical. Paper says, trust us. Physical says, weigh me. Paper says, we'll settle in dollars. Physical says, hand me the bar. Paper says, all is well. Physical says nothing. It doesn't have to. Now let's get practical. Because the awakened don't just feel fear. They act. If you're building a lifeboat plan, you want 3 things. First, you want real metal you can actually take delivery of. Not just a statement, not just an account screen. Real coins or bars you control. Second, you want a mix that fits your budget. Silver for flexibility. Smaller units, day-to-day trade. Gold for dense storage of value, more value in less space. Third, you want a plan for storage and access that matches your life. A safe you trust, a place you control, or a reputable vaulting solution where you understand the terms. No mystery, no fog, and above all, no illusions, no paper promises dressed up as ownership. Because in a squeeze, paper owners learn a harsh lesson. Ownership is not what you say you have. Ownership is what you can touch when the lights go out. Now imagine this. A storm knocks out power. Not a market storm, a real storm. No cell service, no internet, no app. You open your wallet. The plastic cards feel like toys, but you open a drawer. And there is weight. There is certainty. There is something real. That is peace. And peace is priceless when the world is loud. Now let me open another loop, because this is where people get fooled. They see the spot price on a screen. They think that's reality. But in stress, the screen becomes a liar. You can have a low price and no supply. You can have a dip and zero inventory. You can have paper selling while physical disappears. That's when you hear the words, out of stock, limited allocation, call back next week, premiums are up. That's the tell. When the casino can push paper down, but can't deliver metal, the game is exposed. Now, does that mean tomorrow is the end of the world? No. This isn't about predicting a date. It's about reading a pattern. The pattern is simple: more debt, more printing, more control, less freedom, and every cycle ends the same way. The herd loses purchasing power. The awakened preserve it, not by magic, by preparation. So don't wait until the dealer says back order. Don't wait until premiums explode. Don't wait until your bank starts acting strange. Because strange is how it begins, quietly, then suddenly. And suddenly is when people make catastrophic decisions. They sell good assets for bad cash. They panic buy at the top. They trust the same voices that lied to them last time. You are not the herd, you're here, which means you're awake. And the awakened don't outsource survival. Now I'm going to say something blunt. If you have your entire retirement in paper claims, you are one policy change away from regret, one emergency measure, one weekend announcement, one temporary rule, one click, and you'll be sitting there saying, how did this happen? It happened slowly, then suddenly. So here's your move. You become your own central bank. You hold something outside their system. You hold something that cannot be diluted. You hold something that has survived every empire, every currency, every politician, every reset. Gold, silver. Not because you're trying to beat the market, because you're trying to beat the trap. Now, if you want to survive what's coming, subscribe to AG Finance Family. Not for entertainment, for readiness. Because the people who wait for official confirmation are always the last ones out. And the last ones out pay the highest price. One final thought. Imagine this. It's 6 months from now. You're sitting at the kitchen table. Bills are higher, savings earns nothing. The news says the new digital dollar is here. They call it progress. And you realize you're trapped inside a system that can say no to you at any moment. Now imagine the other version. Same kitchen table, same world. But you have real weight in your hands. Metal, freedom. And no one can dilute it. No one can freeze it. No one can update it away. That's the difference between the sleeping herd and the awakened few. Choose wisely.